Welcome to the third Hibernian Coffee Break. Today I want to welcome my guest Kushal Jaiswal. He's a programmer in the moment in India. Kushal, nice to have you here today. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you, Simon?
Everything's all right. So I heard in my briefing that you are a programmer at the moment for Ab Initio, and you had a
Yeah.
lot of experience, and you were in a lot of different countries for working. Maybe just tell me a little bit about your work experience.
As I moved out of my university, I started my career in IT as a software developer and working more in one of the ETL tool or data processing tool called Ab Initio. And in this tenure of I'm holding around 10 plus year of experience and expertise. In that I started my career in India with a few of the organizations. Then move to South Africa. There I stayed around 3 or 4 years, in total 4 years, but in break 3. And then now recent from last 2 I was just working for a German organization in Germany, Munich. That's how I worked, where I worked. And I did travel a bit in this and try to explore more about the work culture, interact with the people, learn different way of working style on the career side, on the day-to-day life, social.
So India, South Africa, and Germany. But now you're back to India, right? Not in Munich anymore.
I came to India during the COVID, some due to the family challenges, and now kind of been stuck.
But you're working in home office right now, I think. So it's not a problem. You didn't have to quit your job.
Yeah, that's really good. My current organization that supported me a lot on this, and it's nice to work home office. Personally, I liking the option of home office and being close to with family, where you don't really need to concentrate on all other works, where you have to do work as a bachelor outside. So it's a good work-life balance at least for now.
And could you describe me your actual job a little bit more in detail? What did you exactly?
In principle, I do more about the data. It's a mixture of if I trying to use the new terms, because in our times 3 to 4 years back there was not really data engineer, data scientist, all kind of thing. But basically on the core platform, I work with the data, analyze the data it's raw, and how I can make it more useful for the business. So just an example, one of my client was Citibank, and then I saw we have the kind of accesses we have. We analyze what kind of transaction you make. Do you purchase more? Do you do more shopping? Do you do other kind of investment? And then I will give a proper reports to business that this is the area of interest and where we can more generate the revenues. That's just a glimpse. Right now, I'm working for one of the big retail of Europe, and there we helping them to read the data and more do the data governance around it, who can access, how it can be related to the GDPR laws, and in banking most to the BCBS more technical, who can access the data, how it can be stored, how it can be managed, how it can be accessed. So that's more around data. So it's more close to data. And on the technology side, I work on a tool called Ab Initio. It's a more initially a US-based software organization, a company product, and that's what I'm more expertise in, and do the solution architecture on that point. But with that we do all other things around with the data. So it's more data.
That sounds really interesting. And you worked for this in 3 different countries. So to my first question on this aspect, what was the differences about the working environments? Did you see there something?
More in India, it was my home country, my home. So it's everything was quite day to day, nothing new or you can really identify. Here in India, yeah, there was a big difference. I did work in the startup, I did work in the middle scale, and I did with the bigger banks like Barclays, Citibanks, and all around. So different kind of work experience, work culture. Starting with India, it was a nice. I was in learning phase, so I touchwood, I do got good mentors and good colleagues who ready to assist me, to help me to learn, to motivate in different kind of culture. So it was like really a nice experience. At a certain stage, I started my career with a multinational company which is more based in United Kingdom, but have a branch and offshore in India. So I started more as a fresher, was learning, but I was more keen to learn more new things. And then I decided to join the startup where it's like a big ship, like working in a company of more than around 2000 people to switching where you are the seventh or eighth employee of the company. It was quite difference in the thing, but in point of work culture, we understand how on the both side the things look, that learn how the things work, how you need to be catch up with the things, more be competitive in the market, and also work as a team. So here in India, I more get as a learning how we should work in a corporate environment, and more on a personal how to work as a team. Like there are also two sides of the coin, how to interact with the clients, how to interact with the colleague, and yeah, it's a company you're delivering, it's not your deliverable. So that's, and for sure with help of the good mentors where I'm right now. More coming to South Africa, I will keep South Africa and India in a similar bracket because in terms of culture, they are quite similar. I cannot compare directly with Germany because I'm still new, but because there's a old history about one of the national leader called Mahatma Gandhi. So he was also being, he did his law study in South Africa, and he positioned India as a in that, so people know there, and it's why there's a lot of Indians there. Like so, and both India and South Africa are developing nations. But compared to Germany, it's like a developed nation. So there's big, yeah. So that's more in the same bracket, but a lot of diversity, different languages. In India, I'm not sure, 36 more than that. In South Africa, for sure, 11. So it was a quite close to my home country, like not totally new. But I do enjoy more about that because again, it's a new shift, new country, new people. Started enjoying the things was there was more equality when I tried to compare with my home country. Like people, when I say equality, more in the men's and the women's are get equal opportunities, more. So not like in India also, but India you find that in more metro cities and also, but still in the rural areas, there's still it's developing on that. But South Africa, at least the city I've worked, I mostly worked in Johannesburg and a bit of traveling to Cape Town. So those are more quite developing in terms of the thoughts out. So that's the one thing I like, and more they are uh, quite friendly. I will say like. How to define the friendliness is just a simple like if I in South Africa if I pass by someone I don't really know, we say, hey man, how are you, I'm good bro, and all that. So it was new because in India we do not really, so if you don't know someone, don't really greet and treat in such a friendly way. But that I learned you have to, like, as it kind of being feel offended. Maybe it's a more stronger word, but yeah, like we are working in the same office, we know each other, and that's, but it was a good platform to make more friends, more colleagues, and to interact with the new people. So it was a good exchange. Like you don't really need to find a friend when you're in a new country to how make friends and friendship. And seeing that in a work culture was what's good. People are really in South Africa open to discuss. It's there on the work culture side, it's more about the social, not really the right word, but how you being social to them, not in just on the text, but in general on a coffee, and that's how you really work together. In fact, it's quite happening environment. You're not like, at least I was not being feel like I'm away from my South Africa home when I'm going really to office. So if I go to office or I'm being at my apartment, it's the same kind of relaxation or same kind of motivation. So yeah, and yeah, I would think like the respect for the moments, they're quite treated, and the new different cultures in there. We in my specifically my team, there was proper South Africans, there was few British, like settled in Germany, settled in South Africa. Then we was the locals, I can say, more South Africans, like we call them Zulus, and they would like, I not really know the different groups. So we in my team, there was a mixture of everyone. So we know how, like, I was learning the different cultures, or at least trying to understand how the different gigs works, and it was good interactions also. The in a simplest way, like how we started the name, like they have one of my colleague have a name where it have a sound like a click when you say the name, and it was hard to spell. Like you cannot, like when they talk the names, like how in German we have umlauts and u and a, which I'm also still struggle, but they have a like as a like, and that's
Really?
the name how yeah. And that's kind of a discussion when you have the decks or during the coffee breaks, or like on the Fridays would be like, it's good to learn. Yeah, we and my manager, who was more on one of the, I said a British guy, but being like a South African British, I can say, like he helped us to interact more. So every Friday we do different things on to learn and understand, because from India I'm the only one, so it was like also the new experience from them. And like, yeah, so we meet on Friday, something we have I'm not sure what it called here, that's they call barbecue in Germany, when you grill the chicken, you know,
on the grill.
So, yeah, so there's the term we use, the barbecue, and we arrange on Friday, and then we do on our own style. Sometimes we bring the foods. So all this happening, and I'm saying this all is happening during the workplace. So it's really nice. More on the pure how we day to day. It's, I cannot say it's quite different. It's how we as a human being treat or greet each other or be mixed up. But yeah, when it comes to we are colleagues, we are professionals, try to deliver the things, trying to impact, have the discussions. Yeah, like I can say I miss that world. Especially when I started with Germany, I was really missing because I'm quite new. It was a total, like it's again a big shift, changing the country, like totally migrating. And again, like moving, starting from a developing nation to a developed nation, starting from more, how to say, going more by rules. Like one of the way in South Africa, even if it's a person cleaning the table, a waiter, if he clean, at least what I checked, he used to put on the music. Like they have quite a normal trend, they put out this headphones and always listen to music. They are like a lover of, like keen lover of music. So if waiter is there cleaning the decks, he listens to music and like he dance and clean. If you see someone on the road, a person cleaning the road or picking up the garbage, you see all them like, moving, dancing, nice. So it's always happening. So when you see them, it's a being, you know, you feel that good. You say, hey man, how, like, so yeah. So it's like really, at least for me, like people always, it's depending upon what kind of work they do or where they do. They enjoy within themselves. And that's, at least for me, that's a very big thing. Like when you enjoy your work and to a certain extent you do not really know what is happening, and music do play a very big role on, and they have their own local music, which is quite interesting. When I learn, like you really, it's more on let you dance, and they have their more their own moves. So it's something new to learn how to dance, how to bring, and we also give to them Indian style. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
then
with
you moved to Germany, and then that was a cultural
yeah,
shock. I could imagine.
I will not say the culture shock, but it was, and that was my reason. Like I explored, like one of the reason I explored India, explored South Africa, and I was trying to explore more country at that time. Like I was got interviewed in New Zealand, in Australia, and Germany, but due to immigration or challenges, and when I speak to my current organization, I got very good vibes about that. And again, my current organization is more a startup, I can say. And again, speaking to the people, the HR, the colleagues, I really was like, okay, that was something I was looking for, and that was motivated to work in Germany. So maybe that's, I can say, like when I interacted more on this Skype kind of session, it was really, it's more happening. But when I landed, it was a bit different in a way. Like it's like here, it's hard to, like it was a bit similar to India, but totally different from South Africa. It's not really so obvious to greet someone unknown, like you get a response on that. And maybe this, my language is one of the limitation, I'm not sure. That's a shock for me, because I went to the immigration office, and on the second day, and I'm not, slowly I understand the reason, but they asking me to speak in the local language, and it was my second day, so I was like, I'm not sure what you're understanding. I was like, piece of paper. But I slowly understand it's more how they go by the rules about, like in the official, in the public offices, are like you have to speak. So yeah, slowly I started understanding how does it really work. And but here I really, on the work side, the good thing I realize on the work culture is more how people are disciplined, how just to I cannot say the word serious, but like it's like when you agree on something to do a job, it's the agreement has to be done. Like there are no if and buts, which I really like and appreciate, that kind of discipline in the work. Like we are friends or colleague, how, like when you're not at the desk, but you are when at your desk, it's your work. So it's a good experience I learn, and which also helping me to improve myself, like growing on IT and more. So
what traits? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Please go ahead. Your question.
Okay, I just wanted to ask the next question. And what traits made you successful in these different countries, especially in Germany?
I believe all the credits go to people. I cannot say it's my luck, but every time I interacted with people, they was quite friendly to me. And also in Germany, I was facing different challenges. There was few of the colleagues, few good ladies, which they helped me to, and it was really nice. Like again, in a new country, seeing they helped me to find an apartment, which is quite challenging than finding a job in Munich. So they helped me to find an apartment. They helped me to do the contract. They helped me even to find my missing luggage, which was sent to a different country, and I landed here. So so it was more people playing role. And in my current organization, I got a more exposure on the culture side, because in my current organization, it's at least when I joined, out of it, there are at that time was 18 different nationalities. So a Mexican guy, like I'm drinking the beer, the lady was helping me to give the salsa steps, which the other guy, more on Austrian, with the Austrian accent, trying Russian. And so there was like a quite good blend and mixture, which slowly started giving me a home kind of feeling, or more making me comfortable to understand. And also not like in general, but when I got to deploy of one of the client, which are more German, I say, like born and brought up and studied in German, with opposite to in my company, which is more diverse, I can say right now. It's I also learn how they work, how they interact. Again, they're quite friendly. They help. Do not really. Still, I'm not really up to the mark, or are not really good in German. They help. It's they're being patient to let me understand. They give a chance, and they also the more they are speaking more English to me compared to how much I speaking into German. So all this thing at least helped me to create a good work culture and being motivated and being like delivering on the side. Yeah.
What was different than you expected in Germany? Were there any prejudices or something like that?
Yeah, as I said, the biggest challenge for me, which is still now, is the language. Which like language is a way to express yourself or to understand. And if you're not up to the mark, it's taking up me to be my best also at my work, because I short of the vocabulary. Like though I'm like architecture, I may be performing, to be very honest, at a developer kind of thing. I can do much more because I may be short of the words in the middle of the meetings. And that also when I go to the beer garden or somewhere to socialize, it's limit myself what the best I can do or to express myself, and not on my side, but also if person is helping me on the other side, maybe he doesn't know English but German, but we can understand and speak, though I'm not really understand. So that's the first thing. The other thing was more the rules. Yeah, like it's more, as I told, it's a more disciplined country and like to go everything by the books. Yeah, from the small, like you need to be very careful with the contracts, with the tenants. I learned, which I slowly appreciating the garbage thing. The first thing, like there are a couple of different dustbin when I was throwing on the first time, and someone said no. One of the thing it's what my mistake also on the other side. I was getting from the U-Bahn quite late, and the robot in South Africa it's called robot, the signal, the traffic signal, what it's called.
Traffic lights.
Traffic lights, like in South Africa they call the term robot for the traffic signal. So traffic, it was like quite late, no one was there, and it was not even like 2 meters, and I just crossed it, and it was nice. There was a guy like, you should not do that. It was red dot. So it was like, but there was no one, and there was no kind. It's quite late in the night, and it was in South Africa. Safety is a reason, like every country has pro and cons. So like you are not really safe at night alone, and you need to make sure like safety come first, not really the rules in a way to be, which was quite different. Like I thought it's not yet safe or not. It's so late in the late evening or almost midnight. So I was trying to just reach my home as possible, but I understand it's always safe here. Yeah, learn more rules, not to. Yeah, I got people's ground, like said to me, like I was on my phone, and from walking lane I moved to the bicycle path, and I got a good learning for that. So it was all that thing was new to me, and like I was not sure, but like as I said, people don't want excuses. And it's
just finish your sentence. Just finish your sentence.
Yeah, and it's hard to it's hard to explain with the language limitation. It's like I'm new to the country and I don't know. And I slowly understand. If you're countrying for, you should know everything before like you want to come. So it was a quite new learnings, I can say.
Do you have any tips for people who want to move to the EU, to Germany for working?
Yeah, I will first should say there's a lot of opportunity in Germany, especially if you're a skilled worker, more like with IT, I can say there's a lot of skilled work there. But yeah, the first thing, if you really want to enjoy and I don't having a good experience and explore about each and every part of the country, the cultures, you should at least get in your home country a basic, more specific, like at least till A2 level of German. It's not more on the certificates, which I actually have done, but more of how to interact with, more of the interaction. And it also good to understand the laws in general, how to socialize. Giving an example, maybe, which is in South Africa and India, when you sit on a table in the restaurant, no one can else sit. But like if you go to your Austria, I can't recall the name, but any beer garden, like you have to share the table. So understanding, I cannot say it's a different, but it's a good thing when you learn, and this give you an opportunity. Like in South Africa, the way they greet give me an opportunity to interact and socialize, and like sharing a table in the beer garden give an opportunity to share and interact. So knowing the social way, how to interact, and the rules will really help you to give a good start in them. And making sure you find a apartment before you land. It's not so easy.
That is really difficult, especially in Munich. So so I would say, Kushal, we're already at our end of the interview. I say a big thank you to India for your time, and I hope that you're coming back to Germany soon after the COVID thing.
Yeah, sure. No, thanks, Simon. Really, thanks for this interview. It was really lovely, nice talking to you, and keeping my finger crossed that we should meet soon sometime.
That would be great. So have a great day, and thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.